If you're wondering why you can't stop overthinking, you're not alone. In this video, I'll show you how to stop overthinking, what's actually happening in your brain, and why what you're doing to fix it can actually make it worse. And the one thing that finally stops that endless overthinking loop that's so tiring. I'm Nicky Anstey, and as an award-winning business psychotherapist, I help high achievers exactly like you who look successful from the outside, but on the inside feel quite anxious and trapped, so that you can turn down that mental noise, trust in your decisions, and finally enjoy the life you work so hard to build. You close the laptop. You tell yourself the day is done, but your mind is still working. It's replaying what you said, what you should have said instead. And later, even when you are making dinner, answering messages, sitting with your family, or trying to get to sleep, part of you is still in that room. Because when you're the person everyone relies on, your brain treats every loose end like a threat. And the exhausting part is, you know you're doing it. You can see the loop. You can feel how pointless it is. You know another hour of thinking probably will not solve it. But knowing that does not stop it. That is the bit that makes people feel broken. Because from the outside, you look capable. You run the business, you lead the team, and you make all big decisions. But inside, it can feel like your brain has no off switch. This is important. So before we go any further, I want you to understand this. You're not overthinking because you are weak. You're not overthinking because you lack discipline. And you're certainly not overthinking because you secretly like drama. For many high achievers, overthinking is not actually a thinking problem. It is a protection problem. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. Your brain has learned that if it keeps scanning and checking and predicting and preparing, maybe nothing bad will catch you off guard. Maybe you won't be criticized. So the loop is not random. It's trying to do a job. It's trying to keep you one step ahead of the danger. But here's the problem. The part of your brain running that loop is not the clear part, the strategic part of you. That's because your brain has two main jobs. One, to save energy, and two, to keep you alive. That's it. Your brain was not built first to make you calm or happy or fulfilled. Its first job is to keep you alive. So when your brain senses pressure, uncertainty, conflict, judgment, financial risk, responsibility, or the possibility of getting something wrong, it can read that as danger. Because your brain is ancient. It was built for a world where danger was physical. Saber-toothed tiger, a threat in front of you, a real risk to your survival. Today, the tiger might be a difficult board meeting, a client complaint, a cash flow issue, a decision that affects your business, your family, your reputation. Your mind knows it is just a meeting, but your body reacts like it's danger. And when that happens, the calm decision-making part of your brain becomes harder to access, and actually it shrinks in size. That part is called the prefrontal cortex. It helps with the perspective, problem solving, emotional control, and clear decision making. But under pressure, your brain starts prioritizing survival over clarity. This is why simply trying to think harder often makes overthinking worse. You're trying to solve a safety alarm going off with logic, but the part of you sounding the alarm is not looking for a clever answer, it's looking for safety. And that's really frustrating when your whole life has taught you that thinking harder is how you win. The more you push, analyze, replay, and force yourself to work it out, the more your brain can think there must be danger here, because we are still focusing on it. That's why overthinking can feel so convincing. It feels like preparation, but often it is threat scanning. And this is where most advice accidentally keeps the loop alive. When you tell yourself don't overthink, your brain still has to bring up that overthinking. When you say don't worry, your brain still has to bring up the worry. And when you say don't think about that meeting, your brain still has to bring up the meeting. It's a bit like if I say to you now, don't think about a Cadbury's cream egg. You've already thought about it, haven't you? You might even see the wrapper, the chocolate, the inside. That's how quickly the mind follows the picture you give it. So when you keep telling yourself what not to think about, you may be pointing your brain back to the very thing you're trying to escape. So the answer is not to fight the thought, it's to give your brain a clearer instruction. Instead of, I must stop overthinking, try, what is the next useful step? Instead of, I can't switch off, try, I'm teaching my system that the work is done for today, as a new route for your brain to practice. Oh, and by the way, if you want to get a better understanding of the hidden patterns that are draining high-performing business leaders, take the Pressure and Performance Reset Audit. It will open your eyes to the blind spots that are clouding your decisions, draining your energy, and affecting the way you lead. So you can rediscover your energy, your clarity, and actually enjoy the successful business you've built. The link is in the description. Now, the next part matters because this is where overthinking usually starts much earlier than people realize. Because sometimes your brain is not reacting to the meeting you just had, it's reacting to an old rule that the meeting woke up. That's why one small thing now can feel much bigger than it should. A team member pushing back, a message that sounds colder than usual. On the surface, it looks small, but inside it can land like proof that you missed something, you failed someone, or need to get control back quickly. Your brain may be connecting this moment to every other time you felt criticized, exposed, or not good enough. That is why one comment can feel bigger than just one comment. Somewhere along the way, your system may have learned old rules. Mistakes are dangerous, so you replay everything. Rest has to be earned, so stopping feels irresponsible. I'm safe when I'm useful, so being needed starts to feel like proof that you matter. If I'm not in control, things fall apart, so delegation never really feels safe. Now there is more to lose. More people are relying on you, more visibility, more responsibility, more accountability. So your brain keeps scanning, not because you're failing, but because the old rule book is still in charge. Your brain prefers what is familiar because familiar feels safe. Even when familiar is uncomfortable and stressful, even when familiar is exhausting, even when familiar is the thing keeping you stuck. If your brain has spent years living in pressure, overthinking, responsibility, and high alert, then calm can feel unfamiliar. And because calm is unfamiliar, part of you may not trust it yet. That is why you can finally get time off and feel worse. This is why you can sit down and your mind gets louder. That is why you can be on holiday and still feel like you should be checking something. Your brain has confused familiarity and discomfort with safe. So the solution is not to attack yourself for overthinking, and it's not to force your mind to go blank. The solution is to help your brain build a new route. If your brain has gone down the same slide thousands of times, it will keep choosing that slide because it knows the path. Overthinking is a slide. Replaying conversations is the slide. Preparing for every possible problem is the slide. The work is not to hate the slide. The work is to build new ones where your brain learns. You can be prepared without being consumed. You can care without carrying everything. You can slow down without losing your edge. And that starts with changing the question. Instead of, why am I like this? Ask, what is my system trying to protect me from? Instead of, what if this goes wrong? Ask, what do I actually know right now? That shift matters because you're no longer feeding the loop with more fear. You're giving your brain a different direction. And every time you do that, you are helping your system learn that safety does not have to come from scanning, pressure, and control. So when you wonder, why can't I stop overthinking? The answer is that your brain has learned to scan for danger because it thinks that keeps you safe. The goal is not to fight every thought. The goal is not to force your mind to be quiet. The goal is to teach your brain that it's safe enough to rest. Imagine closing the laptop and actually feeling finished. Imagine making a decision and trusting it. Imagine enjoying the life you've built without carrying the whole business around in your head all evening. That is what changes when you stop fighting the loop. and start working with the pattern underneath. And if you want to stop your mind running long after your work is done and start feeling calmer, clearer, and more in control again, watch this video next. My team will put it up here when it's ready.